A dead pope was put on trial. No, seriously. It isn't satire. This is the stuff of legends.
It happened in Rome in 897 AD.
And the event is known as the Cadaver Synod. And it might be the most grotesque part of papal history. And that is saying something. Right, so Europe's a fractured mess. The Holy Roman Empire is unstable. And Italy has been carved up by warlords. And the Catholic Church? Deep in political feuds. Pope Formosus has been dead for 9 months. Buried, decaying, forgotten. But his memory is still haunting one man. Pope Stephen VI. Stephen VI loathed Formosus. The reasons were tangled in power struggles. Formosus had once backed a Frankish prince, Arnulf of Carinthia, as emperor, but Arnulf lost control of Italy, and Stephen had supported the rival claimant of Lambert of Spoleto. When Formosus crowned Arnulf emperor, he made enemies, and when Arnulf's campaign failed, Formosus' legacy was seen as treacherous by the new regime. Stephen VI, under the pressure from Lambert's supporters, or perhaps out of personal resentment, decided to destroy Formosus' legacy. He had Formosus' body dug up from St. Peter's Basilica, rotting and partly skeletal, and the remains were dressed up in full papal regalia and sat on a throne. And there, before a synod of bishops, the dead pope was put on trial. And the defence? It was a terrified deacon who was forced to speak on behalf of the corpse. The charges? Violating common law, illegally accepting the papacy, and presiding over forbidden appointments. The trial was ceremonial, but it was vicious. Stephen screamed accusations, and the bishops watched in horror or silence. The outcome was predetermined, obviously. Guilty. And as normal people do, they cut off 3 fingers off Formosus' hand that he had used for blessings. They stripped him of his papal vestments and declared all of his appointments to be illegal and void. And then they dragged his body and threw him into the Tiber. You might think that was the end, but it wasn't. Rome was outraged. Even in a brutal age, this was a step too far. Riots broke out, and the political winds were shifting. Stephen VI was arrested just a few months later. He was thrown in prison. There he met his end. And not peacefully. He was likely strangled in his cell, probably by Formosus' allies, or just by a riotous mob. His death was swift and brutal. Formosus, meanwhile, was recovered from the river Tiber and buried again with full dignity in St. Peter's Basilica. His reputation was rehabilitated, and later popes annulled the Cadaver Synod, calling it illegal and grotesque. One pope tried to erase another from history, and instead made sure that we'd never forget about them. Follow for more strange and weird history.